I was saying, y'all, it's your boy Rico from Street Scores, and I'm very surprised that this isn't bigger news than it already is. The Washington Commanders were denied the Commanders trademark. So now we got to talk about what's next. Is it time for a rebrand? Will Josh Harrison Company come in to pick a new name? Do they already just want a new name? Even if this trademark didn't get blocked, would they still want a new name anyway? Are they willing to do a rebrand? We got to dive into this whole situation. And then you already know it's the usual suspect that's blocking the Commanders from getting the Commanders trademark. There's another reason as well, but that one's an obstacle that they may be able to get over. We're going to talk about how the Commanders feel about this because they've given their statements and they feel confident that they will be able to get the Commanders trademark at the end of the day. But as of today, it's been blocked and it just feels so on brand for us. Like there's just always something in the way. Whenever things go well, there's always something goofy or silly right there at the end of the tunnel to make us trip up a little bit. But before we dive into all of that, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get notification immediately and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Like I've been telling y'all, make sure y'all be on the lookout for all of the film sessions for this entire rookie draft class. I'm so excited, man. I can't wait to get those out for you. The entire rookie draft class and some notable and drafted free agents like the returner from UCLA who has a really good chance of making his roster, the receiver from Stanford, Bryson Tremaine, that I'm really intrigued by. So make sure you be on the lookout for that. If you're not a channel member, go become one because channel members will get the unedited hour-long version of the film sessions, whereas everybody else is going to get like a quick 5 to 8 minute synopsis version. So make sure you go become a channel member. Without further ado, let's get it.
You tell your family you can be a commander.
Alright, so the Commanders trademark was denied by the USPTO. The USPTO has denied trademark applications for the NFL Washington Commanders. On May 18th, USPTO issued the denial citing two reasons. Number one, an existing trademark for the Commanders Classic, and number two, pending applications filed by a DC area man. You already know who the DC area man is, but we'll get to that. But the Commanders have had their trademark application denied due to another person already having pending applications for the name and the current one already existing. Those are the two reasons. Therefore, they may have to change their team name again if they cannot work out a deal. But we're going to talk about why they may not even have to go that far. And Pro Football Talk put out an article. They said some have wondered whether the new owner of the Washington Commanders will change the team's name. The new owner might have no choice. Via trademark attorney Josh Gerbin on Twitter, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office has denied the trademark application for the name Commanders. The reason for the denial was, again, number one, the existence of a trademark for the Commanders Classic, and then number two, the applications from the usual suspect. We'll get to him. The Commanders Classic is the name of the annual college football game between Army and the Air Force. So that's already a thing, the Commanders Classic. Can they work around that? We'll see. We're going to get to that a little later. And then also the usual suspect, you already know his name, Martin McCauley, filed trademarks for the Washington Space Commanders and the Washington Wolf Commanders. He is not playing at a time when he was trying to squat on the team's potential new names. He is not playing. Any name that you can think of, he's got it. At this point, we're going to have to get extremely creative and come up with some really stupid names just to get around them. We're going to have to name ourselves the Washingtons or something. That might be our only hope at this point. It doesn't end the issue though. As Gerbin explains, the team can fight the matter and it can attempt to work out a deal to use the name. McCauley already said he'll surrender anything he owns to the team. That's something he's been saying for several years now, but the Commanders have just not been wanting to feed into his BS and even entertain him, so that's out of the question probably as an option right there. Gerbin believes the team will eventually be able to use the name. The separate question is whether the new ownership will even want to. The best move could be to make a clean break from all things Snyder, and a full rebrand could be a part of the effort. So these are things we got to consider, man. Fame squatter Martin McCauley strikes again. Remember, this is the guy that was squatting trademarks on many of the names Twitter fans love. So you may be happy the Commanders don't get this trademark, but there's a good chance that even if there's a name that you like that hasn't been brought up yet, there's chances that this guy's already blocking that as well. Again, I can't even get the Wolves or anything Wolves, Red Wolves, or whatever because of this guy. So I already know I'm out of the running. And like I've already said, me, Rico of Street Scores, has always said that I care way more about the product on the field and how much we win more than just the name. I care even more about the jerseys and the color scheme more than I care about the name. The name is like literally one of the last things I care about. I care way more about the jerseys, and I care about winning even more than all of those other things combined. So I'm not really a name person like that anyway, but I would love it if it was something Wolves, but because of this guy, it more than likely won't be. But shouts out to Mitchell Tisler for that tweet, because that's a great point. He does, it's like a good thing because a lot of people hate the name Commanders in the fact that he's blocking it, but at the same time, the bad side of it is that this guy's probably blocking all of the names that you want as well. Any name that just seems obvious or makes sense, he probably already blocked it. And I mean, if we thought about it, he probably also thought about it, but actually put forth the money to go through it and block it. So, I mean, what can we do at this point? Like Chris Cooley said, man, at this point, we might as well try to be the sock puppets or the trash pandas. Like, we got to think outside the box at this point. It's really chaotic. But the Commanders have addressed the situation. They said, quote, "We do not believe that any trademark registrations that were obtained by squatters who attempted to capitalize on the club's name change should stand in the way of our registrations," unquote. So they're not even trying to work out a deal with them. I guess they're just going to go legally around the fact that he's clearly squatting and maybe use that against him as like this isn't a probable cause for holding these trademarks. I remember years ago we were going through this with Red Wolves and all that type of stuff, transitioning from Washington football team and all of that type of stuff, that all you got to do is basically make a certain amount of merch and sell it to prove that you're actually utilizing the trademarks. And he does just that. He makes some shirts, he makes some coffee mugs with the name and the logo of whatever names he's blocking and sells just enough to meet the requirements. But he's clearly still squatting. He's only doing that so that he can continue to block the names. And the Commanders are basically like, nah, that's not right. I don't care if he's meeting whatever requirements is necessary to do it. This is ridiculous. You can't own all of the names. So the Commanders are trying to work around that. They also said, quote, "The trademark office's recent non-final office action is an ordinary course step in the standard trademark registration process. We will respond to the trademark office action and are confident that our registration will be issued," unquote. So the Commanders are like, we're not worried about it. We'll figure it out. We'll work around it somehow. And then Gerben also said that he believes the team will eventually be able to use the name. The separate question is whether new ownership will want to, like I said earlier. So he's confident that they'll find a way around it somehow. But at the same time, while the Commanders had their trademark initially denied for the Washington Commanders, and of course, like we've already talked about, they will appeal that, the team earned the registration for Washington football team on Tuesday. So they have a slight backup plan. If it can't be Washington Commanders, I guess they'll go a Washington football team. But again, they're very confident about the fact that they'll be able to procure Washington Commanders one way or another. Shouts out to the Washington Times, Matthew Perez. The Commander spokesperson also said that there is, quote, "no likelihood of confusion between our Commanders marks," quote, unquote, and the Commanders classic college game. Further, the spokesperson said, "We do not believe that any trademark registrations that were obtained by squatters who attempt to capitalize on the club's name should be able to stand in the way of our registrations," like I said earlier. In 2020, Martin McCauley denied being a trademark squatter, offering his trademarks to the NFL for free. Darren Heitner, an attorney for McCauley, said that his client would gladly do whatever in his power to clear a path for the Washington NFL team to rebrand itself. McCauley, who was from Alexandria, started filing trademarks in 2014 in anticipation that Washington will one day change its old nickname that had increasingly come to be seen as racially insensitive. In June 2021, the trademark office initially rejected Washington's trademark application for Washington football team because of an existing trademark application from McCauley, only for the team to be eventually granted the mark afterwards. So the same thing, just like how they were able to get Washington football team recently, they may be able to do the same thing with the Commanders, which is why they're confident about where they're going moving forward if they want to actually go with the Commanders. Again, a big question is if Josh Harris even wants to deal with all of this and even wants the Commanders name. According to the records of the Trademarks Office's online database, the Commanders received the registration certificate for Washington football team as of Tuesday, like I already said. Washington's application for the Washington Commanders was dated February 2nd, 2022, the same day the team unveiled its rebrand. Josh Gerben, a trade attorney unaffiliated with the Commanders, said the initial denial for Washington likely won't be a problem for the franchise in the long term. He said the issues were workable, noting that the name of a college football game is different from a professional football team and that the team could challenge the validity of Macaulay's applications. In the short term, Gerben said the office's refusal could make it more challenging for the team to enforce its name and logo to those who attempt to profit from unofficial memorabilia, but he said under U.S. laws, companies and individuals still have trademark rights for the use of a mark even without a federal registration. As someone that works around USPTO refusals for a living, I would really like my chances here for Washington. I would take this case on in a heartbeat. They're going to have a lot of opportunities to get this resolved, unquote. So again, Gerben, who works with this type of stuff, says that he's confident the Commanders will basically be able to get the Commanders trademark if they really want to. It sounds like they want to, but again, like I keep saying, does Josh Harris want to? And that's what really matters at the end of the day, because this process will probably take longer than it will take for Josh Harris to officially buy the Commanders. And by the time he buys the Commanders and this situation isn't settled, he may just be like, don't even hurt yourselves, I want a different name anyway. We may just do an entirely new rebrand. I doubt it. I think we'll at least have Commanders for this entire season, but who knows if Josh Harris after that is ready to move on. We'll see. Also, in really random news, Dan Snyder pitched an underground tunnel to avoid traffic if the Commanders built a stadium in Prince William County. That's really interesting too, an underground tunnel to help with traffic, and it's literally only for stadium use, strictly for the Commanders games and things like that. I think that's really interesting. I'm very intrigued by that. I hope Josh Harris takes that idea, and Jason Wright, since he was with Dan Snyder throughout this whole process, he pitches that back to him and we utilize that. I don't exactly know how that would work logistically, but I would be really intrigued to see how that would help to work against traffic. Really random, but really interesting. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please leave a like in this video if you liked it, if you learned anything. And of course, man, I appreciate all the support, man. Shouts out to all of my sponsors, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors' names you see scrolling on the screen right now. Really appreciate all y'all, and let me know how you feel about this whole Commanders name fiasco, the whole chaos behind it, and Macaulay getting in the way and all of this stuff. Is the Commanders name even worth all of this trouble? But at the same time, an entirely new rebrand, new name, new logo, new everything is gonna be another set of chaos either way. So it just seems like no matter which way we go, it's gonna be chaotic. Even though holding on to the Commanders name is probably the less chaotic route, it's still chaotic. But yeah, man, let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. I'm gonna catch y'all later. I'm out.